Yeah, I'm still alive. I'm here. I exist. I have just been filled with a level of existential dread that I cannot get past for the past, month or so. So it's been hard. Every time that I've come to film and do whatever, I'm thinking, I just don't have the headspace. I don't have the headspace. I don't have the spoons. I don't have the whatever, is said about things these days to do it. And so I didn't, and I do other things, and I doom scroll, and whatever. And then I decided that it might actually be a good idea to, instead of doom scrolling on the days that I needed to film, just pick one day where I don't go on to, the interwebs and doom scroll. And I thought, well, cool, I'll do that today. You know what I mean? And so I did that today. Well, kind of. I kind of did that today. And by kind of, I mean I didn't. And I want to show you a thing. Okay. This is the thing that currently has me mind melted, you know? And that thing is called this. What is this? What do you see it moving? Yeah, so this got posted on one of the Facebook soap pages today, and I see it moving. Do you see it moving? I see it moving. This is a screen capture. I took a screen capture of the original image because originally I thought, well, maybe they added an effect to it to make it look like it was moving. You know what I mean? And so I took a screen cap because it won't move if it's on the screen cap, and it still moves for me. And so now I'm really interested because now I'm going to put, an iteration of an iteration of an iteration onto this thing. And so it will process and, all the things, but it's my picture. And I wonder if the effect is finally gone. Anyway, you got to tell me in the comments, do you see it moving? Are you losing your mind the way that I am because of this picture? I'm losing my mind in other ways too, but the picture, it's moving, right? That's a cool effect. Anyway, that has nothing whatsoever to do with what we are doing today, but I wanted to share. And you got to let me know, seriously, in the comments. Tell me, is it moving? I will tell you what we are doing today in just a minute. But before I do, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. Let's make stuff. How's it going, Sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things. And you are here for the final day of 10 days of thanks for all the Sudsers. And I know it might seem like I'm not very thankful to the Sudsers, but my God, I do. I love you guys so, so much. It's just a lot. I have a lot to talk about with the Sudsers, and we're going to do that really, really soon. I have some stuff that is coming out. Oh, one of the things is obviously going to be, why is New Space? Well, the Sudsers get to find out. So that's cool. Another one of the things is I'm getting rid of a very toxic wholesale account, finally. So me and the Soap Apprentices can breathe again, which I'm very much looking forward to because breathing is important. You know what I mean? That's a very important thing to do. And self-care, also important. And I have not been able to do that for essentially the last year of having this account. So I frankly am very glad to be done with it. I'm also standing again. This is very cool. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about, but I don't know that we're going to do much of that today. Well, we might, because I am going to be looking at, we are going to be looking at the soaps for the 12 months of soap package. Final day of 10 days of thanks. I'm going to try to stamp some of them. I think I'm going to cut most of that footage out. And then, of course, we're going to do lather tests for all of them. And we're going to talk about the soaps. And you, the Sudsers, who are awesome and exist and are awesome, incredible human beings that I am very grateful to have in my life. I want to talk about some of the things that you guys have been getting up to, probably while we're doing this as well. So that's that. That's what we are doing. So we're going to go to the footage and, do that. Not a lot of focus today. Baby steps. I'm here. That's the most important thing at this point.
Sports mode, big league. Every single time bet on myself, that's on me. East, west, north, south.
Okay, and here we are for the stamping of the 12 months of soap for all of the 10 days of thanks giveaways, and it's going to be a good time. I am going to be starting off with the January soap, and the January soap was made with a coffee infusion. So this was actually the green bean coffee that I actually really ended up liking. It was a lot of fun to work with the green coffee bean. And you can definitely check out that whole playlist that we did. We did a lot of really fun stuff for coffee, including like different infusions and extractions and all the jazz, and how to make our own coffee butter without, having to spend an arm and a leg. Because the actual people that sell it, oh my gosh, they charge such a crazy amount of money, so many doll hairs for that, and it's unnecessary because you can make it yourself. And that's the way that I would recommend it forever, really. But with this, you can also see actually with this that it's very, very firm. And that's not a good thing if you're trying to get a stamp into it. But, it's kind of understandable because the soaps have been made a long time ago at this point. So that they're firm is kind of the goal. And so that's a good thing. But I did want to kind of play around because I have gotten a lot of questions from people asking, how long it takes or how soon you should stamp your soaps after you cut. And I wanted to kind of play around and show you the ways that I have tried, including beating the crap out of it right there, just with my fit. Yep. I guess technically speaking, this is an acrylic stamp, and so I could take a soft mallet to it and make it a little bit easier to get it into a fully cured bar. But I was not going to do that, and instead I thought, hey, why not just hurt my hand? With these soaps here, it's going to be, if you can see, it's not really going to go in. So what do you do in situations like this? Well, my first recommendation would be just to not stamp it. If you've waited too long, then, it is what it is. But you can also try some other things if you would like. One of those things that you can try is taking the heat gun or a blow dryer to it, heating the surface of the soap up a little bit, kind of allows everything to loosen up and the stamp can go in. The problem with that, now these are moving on to the February bars. They are the rose hip seed awesomeness. Love them. Gorgeous bars, so shiny. Had so much fun with the rose hip as well. But yeah, the problem with using a heat gun is that you're going to be spending a lot of time on each soap because you want to be able to better control the actual heat that's being applied. And so it's just basically heating it up lightly and then stamping it immediately. So you're looking at about 30 seconds of work per bar just to get a stamp into it, which is kind of a lot. I have actually also tried this in the microwave. I definitely don't recommend that because, by nature of the way that microwaves work, they heat from the core out, right? And so you end up with soap that starts like cooking and boiling from the inside out. It's a terrible idea. Don't do it. And also it can increase your potentiality for, dreaded orange spots and all the jazz. Speaking of dreaded orange spots, pay attention. I show you in a couple of these soaps where we do have some problems with that. And I want to talk about the different infusions and why that may be, as we go along with all of this. But yeah, so no for the microwave for sure. Even if you're doing it in like little 2-second bursts, it's really not worth it. You're going to damage more bars than you're going to be able to stamp. And with this one, totally works. You can run into the same problem if you overheat the area. And obviously for me, I use a piece of plastic on top of my soaps. I can't do that when I'm trying to heat it, right? Because the plastic will melt with the heat gun, and so I'm having to just stamp them raw, and I don't like doing that. So I do not recommend this process really unless you're a fan of I don't know, spending more time on something that you don't have to spend that kind of time on, really is the whole thing. And so I'm gonna, not do that for the rest of them, but it can be done, is kind of what I'm saying. It's just for this, these are going out to the sudsers, and so I don't need to have my stamp in them. And it's nice. It's, a nice finished bar when it's all said and done if you have your stamps, but also not necessary because you're still finishing your bar by putting it into, packaging. So your cigar bands or maybe a box or wrapping it and putting a sticker on it, all the jazz. So your logo and your label and everything still exists, your branding. So it's not necessary to do that. And so I would just recommend don't. You don't have to. Now with this, these are actually sea moss soaps and they ended up with some DOS, I think. Now this is interesting to me because they're just showing up and they also show up a little bit darker than what I would expect DOS to look like. What does DOS mean? Functionally, it means nothing. The soap is still usable, and in this instance, it's not putting off an off smell. Some people do say that it does. I have such little experience with dreaded orange spots because even when I was attempting to, like trying to force DOS, I had a difficult time making it so. So I'm thinking this might actually be they came in contact with the metal on my shelves or within one of my cookie sheets accidentally while they were curing up. And so that's really what we're dealing with there. But also with the sea moss soaps, I went and looked at the rest of the soaps that I held back from the experiments that we did with the sea moss, and none of those got DOS either. You do want to pay attention to your infusions though if you end up with DOS, right? Because that will be the first thing, especially if you're looking at something like this, wherein I have used essentially the same oil blend for every single soap. And I say essentially because while yes, it is the same oil blend as far as the base is concerned, I did a lot of infusions within the olive oil within all of these soaps from month to month. So it can change. And so the first culprit, if you're going to be working with a recipe that you know that these oils don't generally discolor, they don't generally have any dreaded orange spots problems or whatever, it's probably not your oil blend. It probably has more to do with one, maybe humidity conditions within your room, and so you can check that and see if we have any humidity problems. Or two, more importantly, did you put an infusion in? And then that could start helping you, pinpoint where that is. The bars that I just stamped, those are not May's bars. Those are actually August's bars. I don't know why I put them in that order. So the bars that I just stamped with the yellow and the purple, those are a lavender and honey blend. So we should expect a nice, big, beautiful lather from that. And the bars that I just showed you with the purple and the red is a peach infusion where I was trying to, I don't know, find a good hack to create or infuse or extract a peach kernel oil. And that's not going to happen. That actually ended up being not a lot of fun. And so just buy the peach kernel and only use it in your cosmetics is what I would say. This was very cool. This was a watermelon soap, and it ended up with some soda ash just in the middle portions of some of the purple. And I find that kind of delightful. This is a result of curing. And so the texture on it is very different as well. Definitely has a bigger texture and almost like a little indent. So kind of mimics the glycerin river, but it doesn't because it's very clearly soda ash. And I thought that was a cool thing that ended up happening with all of that, and was happy that we were able to show you. This is kind of fun. Looking at soaps that are made, you know, months in months before and showing them to you after they've cured out and everything. It's a good time. This one is actually the May soap, so not the August soap. This one is our carrot infusion, and it's so shiny. It's so beautiful. I love the swirls in this one. We did a great job with this. I was very impressed. And then I went for June and July with no swirls, really. But this was very beautiful. We got like the owl, looking eyes and stuff in some of these. Lovely, lovely blend. The carrots were a lot of fun to do as well. This is kind of where I started going off the rails with all of my experiments and everything, because I was trying to find ways to infuse carrots outside of just the regular stock standard. And so we were obviously doing extracts, but I got all of the chemistry tools out and started just going to town with my Bunsen burners and my beakers and all of my self-stirring, all of the things to really get super duper sciencey. And I think as a result, I don't know, I can make people's heads hurt when you do this. Yes, it is science, it is chemistry, but if you go too far into it, it's like, well, the average person is not doing this for the science. Luckily, the Sudsers tend to be doing it for the science. They like knowing these things. And so you guys didn't hate me for it, but I can understand if there were some eye glaze moments for sure. This one was September. What was that? Maple? Was this the maple leaves? I think we did maple leaves in this one and then talked about maple syrup and how it's pretty similar to what you're going to get from honey. The biggest benefit is going to be from the sugars within the maple syrup or the honey. This is a very firm bar though. Out of all of the soaps, which are fully cured and incredibly hard, this one is the hardest. And so it's going to be something to do with the maple leaves, I do believe. And beautiful soaps. They have discolored a bit, but nothing too terribly awful, and so that totally works for me. I like them. Thought they were really, really gorgeous. That's a lovely September bar. And then, of course, we have the October soaps coming up. That was a vanilla infusion that we worked with. trying to do weird stuff with vanilla. And there's my crow. It's beautiful. I, I did an October soap and I ended up with a crow. Isn't that so cute? Oh, there's a couple ones with crows. So good. That means one of the sudsers will get one probably, but two of the sudsers will not because it looks like those were sister bars. And I know for a fact that I'm using one of the crows as a lather test soap, which means that it's not going to anyone, you know. So sorry that I was mean and kept the crow, but it was cute. And you can see we do have some discoloring going on. I was leaning into the vanillin doing its discoloring to my benefit with these soaps for the black portions. And obviously, oh, and I just dropped it. See, look, it's not at all, no dents. Cool. But I was leaning into that so we could color the darker portions, but I was hoping to keep the whites white, but we did have some migration regardless, so we ended up with some discoloration. We also have some discoloration with this one, which is a total bummer. You remember how beautiful those soaps were? Like, they were so bright and lovely, the November bar, which is a pumpkin, by the way. And yeah, I'm kind of bummed that this one darkened up as much as it did. But that red ended up working really beautifully at the bottom, which is cool because I didn't have any red. I still don't have any red. I don't have any of the, the required components to make red right now, which is very unfortunate for me, but that totally works, that bottom portion. Just wish the rest of the colors had maintained some more brightness. And then this is the December bar that had the pine tree. We just put weird pine needles and stuff into it and kind of made it look like, I don't know, like pointy layers, and we had some glitter and whatnot in it, but the top of that ended up discoloring while the bottom did not. And so that's fun, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I wish it would have stayed white. But that's okay. It did still keep some glitter, and that's actually gorgeous. And there's a ton of glycerin rivers in this guy, so that's very cool too. And I think that's because I added extra kaolin clay into all of this to really try to whiten everything up. And it didn't quite work to my benefit across the board, but the bottom portion at least works. So there's all 12 of them, but let's go test the lather and see how they all fare and which one we're ultimately going to like the best.
See 'em on my skin. They tried to knock me out, but I'ma fight it to the end, and there's no days out.
Okay, and on to the lather tests. And this is again the January bar, the green coffee seed. I loved this when we did the lather tests on these soaps, when we did it for a full section of content or whatever last year. Loved the lather for all of the coffee soaps. I also like the hardness of it and just the hand slip. And this one, I'm working a little bit harder than I would expect to be working with the coffee, but I am going to ultimately yield some nice, tight, tiny little bubbles that are going to be really good for, well, for shaving because it's kind of a lather that will stand up on its own. Love that. Nice guideline. And because of the extra caffeine inclusion when you have, coffee or whatever, as well as the moisturizing properties, you're not going to end up getting, overly dry skin after shaving, which is obviously a good thing. And I don't know, the reason why I'm thinking that that took so long to actually get a nice lather was because it was my first, soap that I tested. And so I'm breaking down all the oils that already exist on my hands. So it might not be representative of what the bar does as a whole. Now, the rest of these bars, my hands will be completely, clean and stripped of excess oils. So it should be shining in that regard. This is the February soap, which is the rose hip. Loved the rose hip. Such a very cost effective way to add a lot of oomph to your soap. It's very easy, very, very cost effective, way cheaper than, getting your rose oils and everything. And so I'm into that. I'm not into some of the other stuff that we did for the rose, including like burning, like cooking rose petals and putting them in cocoa butter. It's a good time for sure. This particular soap, I am pretty sure that I used green chromium or chrome green for it, and it has a beautiful hand slip to it, as you can see as I dropped it. But I'm, like I said, I'm pretty sure that this is a chrome green, but it could be bentonite clay as well. You do want to pay attention to the clays when you are incorporating them into your soaps, especially if you're using them the amounts that I use them in. It's not necessarily for coloring or for, longevity or Well, it is for longevity and bar hardening, but not for like scent retention or whatever. I make clay soaps, so I use copious amounts of them. And when you use copious amounts of bentonite clay in a soap, it can overly strip the skin. I do get a lot of questions about that. Not all clays are created equal. And so if you want to start taking your clay soap journey, absolutely, but do also, kind of realize that I remember that I use kaolin clay in all of my soaps as a natural matter of, of formulation. And so that's a nice user, I mean, well, end user. Uh, well, everybody can use it, is really what I mean. Look at that lather. That's the sea moss. And so big, beautiful, drippy lather, which I totally dig. I had when we did the Big Bubble Project Soapway Challenge without using coconut oil, it was so much fun because there was one sudser that won whose the lather was just dripping off of their hands in sheets, and it was so lovely. Whenever I can recreate or see that experience, I love it. Very, very satisfying for sure. Now, this is the August bar, so again, the lavender and the honey, so infused with both. But as you can see, the big, beautiful bubbles that come out almost effervescent at the end, or immediately rather, because we have the honey, we have the sugar incorporation. And that's also what we're going to be getting for the June bar, which is going to be coming up next, which has, the peach infusions. Again, the lather that you can get from something like a peach, if you can accomplish it with a just incorporating sugar, then at some point it just becomes kind of label appeal to say, well, I have peach. It's providing a benefit that you can easily get from something else. And so if you don't want to take the time, or you're trying to make peach soaps in the middle of December and there are no peaches to be found, you know, you can just put sugar in and not make it a peach soap. Like I said, kind of label appeal, but that lather is also pretty incredible. So I don't know, maybe it's not label appeal. I liked it how it was dripping down on that one too. Yeah, it's beautiful. That one has all of the fluff that I really love and all of the big bubbles that I really love, and had some drippiness going on too. Next up, we have the watermelon soap, the July soap that had the interesting soda ash there in the middle after a cure. And look, there's a little piece of maybe some, actually, yeah, maybe some dreaded orange spots going on there too. Not really sure. That looks more like a dreaded orange spot than what I saw within the sea moss soap. And so I really, wow, I don't know, but I do know that that lather is absolutely beautiful. And so sugars, right? Yay. And then I think we used, no, did we use the rind with all of this? I don't remember. Gorgeous, gorgeous lather though. Not mad at it. I really, most of the time I cut out all of this, right? Where I'm cleaning off my hands and what drying them off and everything, because it irritates me to have them existing and doing the things. But I wanted to show you guys just how quickly, the lather is happening with all of these soaps. And you don't really get that. You can sort of, I don't know, remove that image or whatever. So this is the May soap, the carrot soap. It's not really apparent if you notice a lot of, cuts in the video. Also, people online are so weird. The number of times people have said you cut, and so I don't know that it's like a real, it's so crazy. Like, I'm convinced that those people are bots, because you are some kind of person if you genuinely believe any soap maker is out here making a video for fun or for you or for whatever, and actively trying to, like, I don't know, pull a fast one on you. It's nuts. That carrot soap though, not nuts. Lather was beautiful. Absolutely. Anyway, point with all of it is you can see just how quickly this lather is achieved, and I like that. That's my big bubble payout, is going to be priority one for every single soap that I make, everything that I formulate. I want to make sure that right off the bat you get a beautiful big bubble, but I'm not sacrificing longevity in order to do it. That's where the clays really come in handy for me, but a lot of these infusions also serve that purpose as well. And so when you're looking at, the tannins that you're getting when you're doing with maybe your coffees or your tea soaps, those sorts of infusions also really do help out with longevity. This particular one, the maple, incredibly hard bar, definitely going to have a long shower life, and it has a beautiful, well, this is like a creamy lather to it that's going to stand up on itself, and again would be good for something like a shave soap, I would say. Now we have the next one here is going to be the October bar. And see, look, I'm using it as a tester. And I can't send you a tester, so it's mine. And I'm sorry. You know, in hindsight, I should have kept a pretty one for you guys. But I just do this. There's soaps that have been, I mean, I have like a Tyler Durden that I made, I don't know, like 8 or 9 years ago that I still have. I don't use it. It's just sitting on my shelf because it ended up looking like an actual heart, like an anatomically correct heart in the pour. And I have never been able to recreate that. That's the beauty of swirls. You're going to get amazing, cool soap Rorschach from batch to batch. Never know what you're going to end up with, you know. Always going to be a little bit different. And the ones that are really, really cool like that, I keep. So this one will be kept. And I really do enjoy that lather, but we do have some discoloring going on in the lather as well. It's probably because of the activated charcoal more than the scent, but do keep in mind that scents that do contain vanillin, or anything that contains vanillin, because this is a double whammy with a vanilla infused soap plus a scent that had vanillin in it, you can see your lather discolor as well. And it's not noticeable for really anyone. I mean, I guess sometimes it is noticeable. You might think that you are really, really dirty because the lather will look not what you would expect it to, like darker or, you know, gray. And I don't know, I guess that's kind of fun for the end user. It's not going to stain anything, I suppose is the point. This particular one, you can also see the discoloring on the lather. And that one is going to be from the scent for sure. And so, I don't know, do keep that in mind. If you don't want that to exist within your final product, stay away from soaps that, or from scents that have the vanillin and can potentially discolor. I don't mind it though. I think it's cool. And the final bar is the December bar. And so you can still see we have the cute little glitter hanging out in that. That is okay to use. And the other thing was not a dreaded orange spot. It was just a spot of something. There's dirt on the soap. Isn't that fun? Good. Luckily, soap is self-cleaning, so it all works out. But the lather for this with the pine needles, yeah, again, it's going to become something that's going to be really good for probably shaving more than anything. Very kind of creamy, not a huge lather payout, so there's not really a benefit in putting pine in. You know, I wouldn't say. But, you know, if you wanted to, again, label appeal is always a thing. But there they all are. They're all done. Wildly different types of lathers and experiences. All of the infusions kind of serve different purposes within all of this. Again, with the exception of the sugars, if it's easier to just put sugar in, put sugar in. But there's, you know, the rest of them all kind of done in some kind of way. And now we're going to go back to my face, and thanks, Sudsers, for all the fun. And there it is, 12 beautiful soaps for 12 months of soap. The lather is beautiful in all of them. I enjoy all of these soaps so very much. You got to see all the different color changes with some of the scents that had, you know, the vanillin content in them, so they're going to discolor. You got to see how hard it is to stamp these bars because they're hard as a mother, you know. And now we are going to be picking all of the winners for the 10 gift sets that will go to 10 very lucky membered Sudsers. So congratulations in advance to everybody who wins. And, you know, Sudsers who didn't win, hey, thanks for participating and for being so understanding. I know that we are all going through stuff, and so I'll talk about it with you guys on the Discord, and we talk about all the stuff, you know, there or whatever. But for those of you who are not on the Discord or whatnot, it might be strange to you that I say I'm going to do a thing and then I don't do it, you know, but we're all kind of feeling stuff right now in different ways. And yeah, I'm grateful for all of you. I'm glad that you exist. I think that we should all really, really start focusing more on really coming together as a community and, you know, doing the whole supporting local and shopping small businesses and whatever during these times. Because, you know, everything's crazy and we do not have to give all of our money to big corporations. You know, I'm going to get better about that too. And I know that I've kind of started slacking with a lot of that because, you know, when somebody asks, where did you get this mold? I'm like, oh, you can just pick it up on Amazon and whatever. I am making a concerted effort for the rest of 2025 to stay away from big corporations as much as possible. I think in times of inflation, in times of uncertainty, all of the things, more important than ever to really focus on our micro communities and build them up so they survive. You know, Amazon will survive without my money. Other people may not. So that's my 2 cents on, all of that. But Sudsers, thank you for existing. Thank you for being you. Thank you for being here. This week is going to be fun. So we have a really fun experiment with a dish soap. I was doing something because I'd seen it on a Facebook, group page, and I had posted it several months ago in the Discord and asked the Sudsers, "What is this? How did this happen? Whatever." And so I did a recreation, trying to see if I could, figure it out. So that's coming up for sure. Very excited about that. We are doing a hack from the Kate McLeod body stone that's just all the rage right now. And she has the whole grain audacity to charge like 45 bucks it's a lotion bar. Yeah, so we're doing a hack on that. We're going to talk about it and talk about, price breakdowns and all the jazz. And there's something else that we're doing this week too. So anyway, if you're interested in any of that stuff, stay tuned. It's going to be a fun time. And yeah, it's awkward. It's awkward. Turning the camera on and trying to get back into this when everything is a lot, you know? And so I'm going to give you all of the hugs and the loves and the everything that I possibly can for all the a lot that you're going through too. And I'm going to go. And hopefully tomorrow I'll be better at the filming and all the things, and we can just get right back on track. I don't know. We'll see how it works. Anyway, I will be back tomorrow for another round of testing Soapy Fun. Bye.